Well, welcome. You find me in my van in a familiar location. I'm back in the New Forest, getting ready to go out for a wet shoot to a place I've been a couple of times. This is where I photographed a tree that I dubbed Treebeard after some of the characters in Lord of the Rings, and a very characterful tree. Now, I have photographed it in what would have been late October previously, when it was still green but wet, and then in December at one point where it was late autumn, I would say. Not much left in the way of the tree canopy. What was there was very autumn coloured, but there wasn't much of it, and it was dry. So those were very different conditions on those two occasions. Today it's still green, but some of the leaves are beginning to turn in some of the oaks and some of the beech trees and most of the chestnut trees. So it's a bit of a funny autumn, really. You know, there are some oaks that are still completely green and many beech trees that remain completely green. Oh, it's starting to rain properly now again, which is kind of what I want. I've come out equipped for, excuse me if there's mic noise there, for wet weather gear. Anyway, so I'm hoping that there might be a little bit of colour there today, and I'm hoping we should still have a full canopy, which will help keep the sky out of my images. Because it's wet and it's early autumn, we're sort of like, what was it, 22nd of September today, so mid to late September. We should be starting to see, I hope, some fungi in the woods. And so I will be keeping my eyes peeled for fungi as well. So, you know, this is one of those seasonal shoots. It's going to be wet. I've got towels to keep my equipment dry. I've got waterproofs to keep me dry. And hopefully we're going to get some interesting early autumn, definitely early autumn images. So with that in mind, I will catch you in a minute when I've got something more to tell you. So forgive the traffic noise. As previously, this particular shot does pose challenges. Now, I'm going to use the polarizer here for two reasons. One, I want to bring out whatever little bit... Oh, why don't I turn this the other way around? There we go. Hello. So, as previously, this shot does pose a couple of challenges. One is traffic noise. So, apologies in advance for all of that. Unfortunately, I'm only about 20 metres away from the road. The second is the rain. Now, that has a couple of effects. One positive, one not so positive. The not so positive one is the reflections on the leaves, because they're wet and so they're reflecting light that I don't necessarily want to be reflected, and so I will use the polarizer to just cut down some of that reflection. I will try that at different settings, and then the other, I won't call it an issue. Actually, this is a good thing, is that the rain, the fact that everything is wet, literally saturated, will saturate the colours, and so we're going to have some nice vibrant greens, and where we have got bits of bracken turning gold, we'll have some of that nice autumn flavour in there as well. And so I'm going to try and make some use of that in this shot. So I'm going to crack on setting that up, and I'll catch you in a minute. So this is an interesting little setup here. I wanted to get these really nice bright green mosses right in the foreground of my shot here, and there's some quite interesting trees in the background there, and that meant getting really low to the ground, and so fortunately my tripod can do all kinds of weird shapes and things. What would have been nice if I'd remembered to bring my really small tripod, and I would have had to mess around with all of this gubbins. Just to get really close to the ground, I've actually put the camera upside down with the ball head rotated downwards. So a couple of things about this shot. I've decided to focus stack it and use Nikon's automatic focus system, which is a bit of a frustrating system if I'm honest. So what I found is it's quite difficult to tell when you're using some of their automatic modes what other modes the camera has to be in. So for example, when I'm doing exposure bracketing, it will only do exposure bracketing if I'm on shutter delay. So I normally set a shutter delay of 2 seconds, and then it will allow me to do auto exposure bracketing. Otherwise you've got to keep manually pressing the button for the number of exposures that you wanted. Now with focus stacking, if I put it on exposure delay or shutter delay, it won't allow me to start the focus shift shot, which is a bit weird really. If the focus is in pinpoint mode, it will not allow me to use focus shift, but it will if I'm in spot focus or wide area focus. So it's a little bit frustrating that there doesn't seem to be a great consistency when it comes to using these automatic modes, and it means because I don't use some of them very often, you're kind of relearning it each time, which can be a bit frustrating. Anyway, hopefully if this shot is any good, I will show it to you now. There might be a version of it with just the mosses in focus in the foreground, and there might be a version of it with a much deeper depth of field taking advantage of that focus shift shot. Well, I reckon I'm about done here for my first little foray of autumn, and I think I've got 1 or 2 shots I'd be quite happy with. Nothing stunning because the light hasn't been great, but then you know it's autumn, isn't it? And so actually in the forest you don't really want bright sunshine. A little bit of golden hour kind of warmth would be lovely. But you're not going to get that at 4 in the afternoon, and unfortunately I can't be around for sunset. Weather forecast in any event is not great. It's not great for tomorrow either, but hopefully sometime over the next few days I'll be able to get out again, and over the next 2 or 3 weeks particularly the trees are going to start to turn more and more, and I'll probably be back to this location to see if I can photograph Treebeard, or the Guardian as I've also called him, with a bit more colour, a little bit more autumn colours in a canopy. Thank you very much for watching. If you've got this far, I hope some of it has been helpful, particularly about some of the focus stacking, and I look forward to seeing you next time.